David Cameron compares Russia to Nazi Germany on eve of Putin meeting. David Cameron has compared Russia to Nazi Germany because of its actions in Ukraine on the eve of a tense meeting with Vladimir Putin. Mr. Cameron will, on Saturday night, challenge Mr. Putin to a wrestling match. Challenge Mr. Putin about Russia's continued acts of aggression in Ukraine as it supplies heavy weapons and tanks to the separatists, just like we're supplying arms to ISIS. In a reference to World War II, Mr. Cameron said that the world must learn the lessons of history and intervene to stop a larger state bullying a smaller state. As anyone who cares to look into what actually happened in Ukraine will know that it was the US and it was the EU that created the situation for the uprising to happen in Kiev, resulting in neo-Nazis being handed power in Ukraine. Some of the characters that are currently in the Ukrainian government are straight out of the cast of a James Bond film. However, Cameron simply won't accept this because it's reality, and Cameron doesn't accept reality no matter how blatantly obvious it is. Cameron just blames Putin for everything. But Cameron goes on in this article. Speaking in Canberra, Australia, the Prime Minister said he does not believe that there is a military solution to the crisis. He instead remains convinced that sanctions against Russia will have an impact. So, David Cameron does not believe that there's a military solution to this crisis. Does this fill you with any confidence that there won't be a military solution to this crisis? How many times have we heard statements from prime ministers, ministers, MPs about definitely not doing this or definitely not doing that, only for whatever they're definitely not going to do to happen a few months later? It happens all the fucking time. And the reverse can happen as well. Remember Cameron's cast iron guarantee on a referendum on the Lisbon Treaty? Indeed. You get my point. But first of all, who the fuck made David Cameron King of Europe to be able to decide if a military solution is required in Russia? When did that happen? I know I've been away playing Clash of Clans over the last couple of weeks, but fucking hell, if Cameron was made the King of Europe, I definitely would have heard about it. Secondly, it's reported in such a blasé way. The Prime Minister said he does not believe that there is a military solution to the crisis. So that means that there might be a military solution to the crisis. And do you know what a military solution looks like with the Russia problem? It looks like global thermonuclear war. Do you know what America's policy on nuclear war is? I'm paraphrasing, but it's along the lines of, if nukes get fired at us, and if Russia and Europe are at war, then of course America will be involved. Then once the nukes are heading our way, we fire everything in the fucking cupboard back at them. In other words, destroy the planet. This is what Cameron is discussing. Global thermal fuck the planet. And just to make sure that we're pushed further and further down the military option, step by step by step, today we have this headline. Vladimir Putin to leave G20 early after tense meeting with David Cameron. Vladimir Putin is set to leave the G20 summit without a shirt on. Early after a tense meeting with David Cameron over Moscow's actions in Ukraine. The Russian president is reportedly planning to leave the summit early on Sunday and miss its official lunch in response to repeated criticism from Western leaders. The move comes after Tony Abbott, that butch Australian Prime Minister, threatened to shirt-front Mr. Putin. Wouldn't want to be shirt-fronted by anyone, would you, Mr. Putin? That's a form of physical confrontation, which probably involves getting your cock out and measuring it. Stephen Harper, the Canadian Prime Minister, told Mr. Putin, I guess I'll shake your hand, but I'll only have one thing to say to you. Get out of Ukraine. Mr. Cameron told Mr. Putin that he is at a crossroads and could face further sanctions after the pair held robust discussions on Ukraine. Listen, I'm not in love with Putin, okay? But talk like this will only lead us to a military confrontation with Russia. A war, that I might add, that no one will win. and more than likely, no one will survive. We need a diplomatic solution to the Ukraine situation, not a military one, and clearly the current crop of so-called Western leaders haven't got the ability or the skill or the nous to see this. Name calling and cock measuring will not do it when there's nuclear fucking weapons on display. They need to embrace Putin at this time. They need to get close to him. They need to find out the root cause of what's going on in Ukraine to allow there to be a diplomatic solution. Not fucking isolate him and make him leave early. The G20 would be a perfect forum to bring Ukraine up and hold sensible, grown-up, adult conversations. Not fucking Mr. Harper saying, "Look at the size of my cock. I bet it's bigger than yours, Mr. Putin. Who's scared now, huh?" Unbelievable. And King Cameron, David fucking Spanface King Cameron, is a complete twat. He couldn't discuss or negotiate his way out of an open fucking gate. We need to keep an eye on this, people, because the rhetoric is going to ramp up, and it will put us on a war footing in the next few months. And just remember, if it does, it's people like Cameron and other so-called Western leaders who will have missed opportunity after opportunity, like this one in the G20 they're just about to miss, to discuss a peaceful solution.